Hi everyone, welcome to Woodfired Weekly at Manna from Devon Cooking School. This week I thought we'd have a little talk about cheese, and in particular the sorts of cheese that you put on pizza. So mozzarella and the hard cheeses like Grana Padano, Parmesan and Pecorino. Let's start with mozzarella because that's the one we're all most familiar with, and we'll all have bought something like these mozzarella balls from the supermarket, I'm sure, of various sorts. We might even have splashed out and bought some buffalo mozzarella, and we may have bought one of these blocks. So let's talk about the difference between all of those. And they sort of mean slightly different things in the UK to what they might mean in Italy. So the original mozzarella cheese was made from buffalo milk, and it's a little bit less rich than regular mozzarella. It's got a little bit more flavour to it, a little bit more depth of flavour, and it's definitely significantly more expensive. Most of us, however, use cow's milk mozzarella cheese, which is much more familiar, very inexpensive, sort of slightly creamier and sweeter than the buffalo mozzarella. This also sometimes gets called fior latte, and in Italy it's called fior latte to differentiate it from true mozzarella, which is made from buffalo mozzarella. But in the UK we kind of think of this as mozzarella, and mozzarella di bufala as the rather more specialised version. We'll have a look at these. These are fresh cheeses, so they're not stored for a long time, they're not aged, they're not matured. Here we tend to get them in a pack of brine, and that brine keeps them fresh for a reasonable amount of time, but they still don't have a very, very long life. So if we have a look at these, they look pretty similar. This actually is from the UK. This is from Laverstoke Park Farm, where they have a herd of buffalo. It's got a little bit more colour to it, a little bit more of a creamy colour, where the cow's milk mozzarella is very white. I'm just feeling the difference in texture, seeing if there is any. These two actually feel pretty much the same, ever so slightly firmer with the cow's milk mozzarella. This one a little bit softer. And what you always find with these is there's quite a lot of moisture in the cheese, which means they're not necessarily ideal for putting on top of pizza, because they let out lots of liquid and they kind of make the pizza rather soggy. So if you are using these, what people will sometimes do is take them apart and let them drain for a couple of hours to take out some of that moisture. So let's just talk about this guy a moment. This block of cheese here, which looks rather sort of processed, and you might think it's therefore something of a poor relation, but if you look at the ingredients, it's got pretty much exactly the same ingredients as these cheeses. So milk, rennet, possibly an acidity regulator, so a little bit of citric acid, which you often find in these cheeses. But this has just been allowed to dehydrate a little, compressed a little bit to press out some of the moisture, and that actually makes it somewhat better for cooking because it doesn't let out an awful lot of liquid into your dish. You can see on the pack here that it says mozzarella cucina, so mozzarella for cooking. The other sort of mozzarella you find is pre-grated mozzarella. You see a lot of this in the supermarkets. It is cheap and cheerful. Certainly has a bit of stringiness to it, and doesn't really contain a lot of additives, except there is always some starch added to these cheeses so that they don't clump together. So in this case we've got potato starch, and it usually is potato starch, and it's also been dehydrated a little, so it's drier, so it won't make your pizza watery. However, with the starch in there, it definitely browns in a very different way. So if you want those nice white blobs of mozzarella cheese melted over the top of your pizza, this won't give that. It browns much more readily and melts rather differently as well. You may find your pizza recipe also calls for some hard cheese. This may be Parmigiano Reggiano, Grana Padano or Pecorino Romano. Those are the three classic cheeses for topping pizzas. And these are at the other end of the spectrum from mozzarella. These cheeses are aged cheeses, and all of them, if they are DOP cheeses, so with legislation laid down as to how they can be produced and what can be classified as any of these cheeses, they must be aged. In the case of Grana Padano, it's a minimum of 9 months. In the case of Parmigiano Reggiano, it's a minimum of 12 months. And in the case of Pecorino, I believe it's 5 months. So they've all had some aging as part of their process. These bring depth of flavour, umami, savouriness, nuttiness, all of those deeper flavours. Parmigiano Reggiano is the one we know best, and you'll see it in every supermarket, often in a slice like these. This is aged anywhere between 12 and 36 months, and the younger ones will be fresher, grassier, sweeter, milkier, creamier, and the older ones will be nuttier, raisiny, even a little bit meaty, a little bit beefy at the extreme end of the scale. Grana Padano, a little bit lighter in colour, not usually so extremely aged. Minimum of 9 months, in this case 12 months. My favourite is Pecorino Romano. Now Pecorino just means it comes from a sheep, so it's going to have a very different flavour to our two cow's milk cheeses here. And typically it will have more bite to it, it'll have more acidity. It's also quite a salty cheese. Okay, that's a little bit of a run through of these cheeses. And what I want to do is do a quick pizza and use the different mozzarellas on that pizza so that we can see how different they cook, how different they melt, the stringiness of the end result, and the different colour that they bring to the topping. Pizza's cooked and ready to come out. Okay, let's have a look. So this 3 till 12, this is the supermarket pre-grated mozzarella. As I said, the starch is brown more quickly, so we've got a very different looking colour on there. This is the regular mozzarella, and it's got a little nice sort of speckle of colour. And if we have a look in here, it's quite watery in there. There's quite a lot of just loose liquid scattered around. This is the mozzarella for cooking. So this has got a little bit of water there as well, actually, but it's got a different colour, different browning again, and definitely a sort of stretchiness to it. And then this is the buffalo mozzarella, certainly the most watery, but also with some nice stretchiness. We look at the stretchiness of all of them. This one, yeah, nice, look at that. This is certainly the least watery, but also possibly the least stretchy. And this one I would say definitely the most stretchy. I'm just going to hold these up now and see what comes out of them. This one, no moisture. This one, the regular supermarket mozzarella, cow's milk, a little bit of dripping going on there. The cooking mozzarella, a little bit of dripping going on there as well. And then the buffalo mozzarella, the most liquid definitely coming out of that one. So that was a quick run through of the sorts of cheeses you might be putting on top of your pizza. Hopefully you found that useful. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you've got any further questions, please put those in the comments below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you'd like to see a new video every week. Thanks for watching. See you next time.